All right. Good afternoon. It's going to be afternoon, I believe, for everybody. There's no mornings. I'm Alexis. I'm here with Taylor, and you guys are in our live webinar. So this webinar is from Kickoff to Payoff, how smart project teams get the most out of Clearstory fast. So here's our agenda. We have as you can see, it's pretty large agenda today. Some people are probably going to trickle in as we get started. This is a recorded webinar, so you guys can come back to it later if you need to. But just quick highlight here, we are going to go through introductions, talk about Clearstory. We're going to talk about our common workflows with T&M tags, and then how Clearstory works, some of our top onboarding questions. And then Taylor and I will get into the nitty gritty of things within Clearstory itself. So I am Alexis. I am one of the customer success managers here at Clearstory. I have been with Clearstory for about 4 years now. I currently manage enterprise specialty contractor accounts and then a handful of mid-market accounts as well. Before Clearstory, I used to work for a fire sprinkler contractor. Worked there for a handful of years, so a lot of us come from the construction industry as well, so we bring a lot of that experience to you guys too. And then I am here with Taylor.
Yeah, nice to see everybody. So my name is Taylor Edwards, here on the customer success team as well. So I manage our general contractor customer success team here at Clearstory. So our side of the team works all with general contractors. I myself also work with our enterprise level general contractors directly. Like Alexis, I also come from the industry as well. I worked out as a GC for one of the largest GCs in the country for about 8 years here prior to coming over to Clearstory. So, like Alexis said, we're excited to go through things here with you today and answer the questions that you guys have, having come from the field ourselves. That's always one of the most enjoyable things we like to do. So, as you guys enter questions today, we'll be looking forward to answering those. So, we'll keep going in here. So just about Clearstory for maybe those of you that aren't aware, we're the only change order communication tool that's built for the industry for all stakeholders on the job to capture their change order risk. So we were founded back in 2018. Our founder Cam came from the general contracting world, and the main reason he founded Clearstory is we wanted to be able to capture that change order risk and know what that is to improve our cash flows and just make the whole process easier. So over those last 7 years or so, we've been one of the fastest growing construction tech companies in the industry. To date, we've received and communicated over $26 billion of change orders through our platform. And then we have currently over 11,000 contractors utilizing Clearstory across the industry. And with a lot of the folks, logos, and companies that you see visible down below are folks that work with us. So with that, now we'll jump kind of right into all the meat of everything we wanted to talk with you guys today.
So the common T&M tag workflow. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this. I know we have some current customers on the webinar, but we probably have some new ones as well. Typical workflow. So GC directs T&M work. We're calling in, trying to figure out the PCO number. Then the specialty contractor, the field, is doing the work. And we are recording all of that work on those carbon copy T&M tags. We're looking for the superintendent to sign it. In between there, when we actually get that T&M tag signed, we've got coffee spilled. We've got grease all over the paperwork. It's becoming a mess. Now we're throwing it in our vans, throwing it in our trucks. We're getting that T&M tag back to the office. Could be end of day, could be next week, could fall between my seat, and now I have no idea where that is. I forgot. Finally get that into the office, might sit on someone's desk for a little bit when they get to it, and now we have questions. We've got questions from the specialty side, the GC, no backup documentation, no photos, no one's really sure if we were even there. Now this is weeks prior. etc. So we have some delays with that, and could be weeks, could be a month before that T&M tag is actually approved.
And then, on top of that, right, the old way of doing change orders on projects, right? It's a big, just disjointed way that the industry has seen, right? And this is what we're solving. But, previously, or the old-fashioned way, every contractor on the project, whether you're a specialty sub, sending things in on your own form, creating some log, you're sending it to your customers, your GCs in any certain way, and then the GCs are receiving all those in all different ways from all their contractors. Everything is happening back and forth via email, which we all know email can just be a pain to go through. Everything can get lost there. Um, and then again, all that back and forth is happening. Maybe someone on their team is then receiving that email. Which file folder are they saving it in? Are they saving it on their desktop? Did they save it in the right place? Did the right person get copied on the email? Very hard to keep up with kind of that old-fashioned way of collecting those logs, collecting those change orders all within email. And then beyond that, the GC has to even take all those, get it into project management software, send it to the owner, who sent what and where. It can be very cumbersome the old fashioned way um, we do things, right? And then I think what we want to show you here today is the value that you can get out of Clearstory fast right away to get rid of the problems with all those old-fashioned ways that we do things in the industry. So what Clearstory does and how it works is we just take everything real time, put it into a collaborative communicative place so you can capture all your change order requests in one spot, and it allows you to capture that flow no matter which stakeholder you are. So if you're a specialty contractor sending change orders up to your GCs, your customers, keeps it all live and visible in real time. If you're a GC, you can collect everything immediately and capture that real time from your trades. And then the owner at the end of the day, and it reduces that risk for them as well, because they have confidence in their contractors that everything is captured and nothing is lost. So Clearstory kind of takes all that discombobulated stuff that we had before and streamlines it kind of all here in one flow.
So some of our typical onboarding questions, we'll say this is top 5. First one, how long does it take to get started? So I have experienced this at previous jobs implementing software. I have actually spent about 2 years trying to implement a new software for a company. With Clearstory, it takes, I would put it at 2 hours. And that is going to include planning calls, getting your office or your PMs trained, and then that's including field training.
Yeah, and we see that on the GC side as well. You show one team how to use Clearstory for an hour, run them through how to do it. They're off and running right away. And then even beyond that, if you need to get a field person involved or field staff involved right away, you just get them 1 hour training, gets them going right away. So very easy, lightweight tool. I think that's one of the ways you can see how quickly you can get started. Is just makes it so simple for your teams.
And then another question that usually comes about once we're in that planning call, can I start using Clearstory on a project that is already underway? Yes. And we will get into this, and eventually in this webinar here, we have a bulk upload feature. So you guys can add everything that you've already submitted, upload it into Clearstory, and then it'll be live and up to date for you guys.
Yeah, I'm currently working with 3 projects right now that are in that scenario, doing bulk upload, showing them how it's done, and we're gonna get them going soon. So see it all the time.
Doesn't my project financial software do this? This also common. I think once people get into Clearstory, you realize that your project financial software doesn't have the abilities that we do as Clearstory. The other thing I always say immediately, you don't, so as a specialty contractor, you don't want your GC logging into your financials. Those are really meant to be for you guys, internal. So Clearstory gives you that combined or networking effect with your logs.
Yeah, and GCs, we don't want subs looking into our financials either, right? You're not going to open up your GMP and say, hey, mechanical contractor, come take a look at all the money we have in our budget for your scope, right? You don't want to share that. So we capture that external communication for you. That's kind of the key theme that you want to do. And then Alexis, don't you think the other party, what my subs, are they going to use this? My GCs, are they going to use it, right?
Yep. So the next one, what if my GC doesn't want to use it? And Taylor's gonna riff off of this with the next one. Your GC doesn't have to use it. We highly encourage. They can create an account if they want to. But as a specialty contractor, you guys have full capabilities with Clearstory, whether they want to use it or not. You're still going to send emails out of Clearstory. So they'll still have everything that they need. They can download, save it, and choose to use that data however they want to.
Yeah, and then from our perspective on the GC side, right, you're inviting all your subs to use Clearstory with you. So common question we get, are my subs really going to adopt this? I think what we find value-wise right away is all your trade partners are going to recognize how easy it is to share things upstream to you as the GC. And really, at the end of the day, as you can tell, we're talking to you guys today from both the GC and sub perspective. Our tool benefits all stakeholders, right? So right away, that recognition is going to be felt where your contractors, your trade partners are going to understand that they can now hold you accountable as the GC because everything is captured in one spot. And then you as the GC have all that risk in one spot. So it's a common thought we get from people, but right away people understand that. So we'll kind of run through all of that with you here. So just to kind of like step right in, the biggest value prop that you're going to see right away, we've kind of already hit on this already, is just Clearstory. Our bread and butter is our live cloud-based shared change order request log. So keeps everybody aligned. You never have to ask, as a GC, you never have to ask your subs and say, hey, can you send me your change order logs once a month? We all know how long that takes. We all know the information is really bad or it can be very tough to keep up with when we do it that way. Now with Clearstory, your immediate ROI that you're going to see is you have everything right in one spot. It's live, it updates in real time. You can get to all the information you need to see quickly so you can actually focus your time when you're doing change orders into doing the productive stuff of reviewing the content and getting things measured for accuracy and scope rather than spending your time searching through folders and seeing all those things.
Yeah, and very similar for the specialty contractors. No more having to open, hundreds of different Excel logs, going back and forth, updating things. As soon as you create that COR in Clearstory, it's automatically sent to your GC and it's live on your log right away. So you're really living under one platform there, and you can manage all of your projects that you need to really live at in one platform for you guys. So the bulk upload that I mentioned, super simple feature. Actually, Taylor, if you want to go to the next slide, I think it's
Yeah,
a little bit more of a
for
visual.
sure.
Perfect. So as a specialty contractor or a general contractor, you guys can bulk upload all of your current CORs that you guys have. So as you can kind of see those little colored tiles, you can update the actual status of them, putting in the dates, when they were approved, when they were submitted. You can't really see it on this snip here, but you can also include the actual PDF that was sent. This is not going to email anybody. So at this point in time, you're really just updating your logs in Clearstory. We also have a quick little template if you choose to copy and paste and do it that way as well. But super simple way to do it. And so that usually answers the question of, can I start Clearstory right away mid-project, or do I have to wait and start using this on new projects moving forward?
Yeah, and then from the GC side of things, like I said, I'm working with a couple projects right now that are bulk uploading all of their subs change orders into Clearstory for them. I think the right away when you get that value because when you upload, you're going to start to have your log populated with all that information right there. And what happens every time a GC does this with their trades before they launch and go live is they recognize that there's change order risk that existed that they didn't have captured in their internal financial tool. So personal story, working with a project. Now this is, I won't name names or contractors or anything like that, but it was a very, very sizable, close to $1 billion job. We had a GC go through the bulk upload exercise. They uploaded all their change orders and then they realized that they were missing almost $3 million from their internal financial system just because they were doing it the old fashioned way. They put them into Clearstory, boom, they were able to recognize that $3 million risk right away, where otherwise they would have dealt with that come closeout time, which everyone knows that's not what we want to do. So immediate value, as soon as you get that in there, you're able to see what that risk is right away.
And then this is just, we talked about that shareable cloud-based log. So you get everything entered in that bulk upload. Now you can review everything in this one page. You have your total requested. You can filter whether you're the GC, you're filtering by your subcontractors, or your specialty contractor. Now you're filtering by your different projects. You can see your contract value changes as you're submitting CORs. We do have a great, activity and messaging feed. I know people on my side love to use that. They can tell when their GC is actually looked and reviewed. And I'm sure the GCs are loving that as well. And then that will actually lead us into this customer reference number that's kind of highlighted in the middle there.
Yeah, so customer reference number. So this is, I talked about how, in that previous project, almost $3 million that was missing. So this concept of customer reference number that we have, what you'll see in the highlighted column is we have, different nomenclature. Maybe that's a PCO, maybe that's a change event, maybe that's a PCI. It kind of depends on whatever your internal system you're using is, whether you're using Procore or CMIC or, other tools that are out there. The industry best practices. As soon as you have change order risk on your project, you need to create a PCO or a PCI or a change event, whatever your system calls it. You want to create that record number so you know that that change order risk is captured in your internal financial tool. This customer reference number column allows you to be able to align those numbers appropriately against your internal financial tool. So like that project that was missing $3 million, when they loaded it into Clearstory, when they filtered the customer reference number column by blank, meaning they hadn't had a PCO number or a PCI number assigned to it, they were able to see what that number or that status cost was for everything that didn't have a PCO number. So right away, they were able to answer the question, how much was missing from our system of record. So the customer reference number, whenever you have executives in the company, or if you're a leader at your company and you want to ask your teams, hey, what's missing? What do we not have forecasted? Your customer reference number is going to immediately give you that feedback on what's missing and what isn't. So very, very important column. Immediately gives you that feedback that you need to know what's missing from your financial system of record.
All right. The Clearstory mobile app, which is how we create T&M tags. So speaking of my past, worked for a fire sprinkler contractor, and I managed 15 guys in the field. And one of my jobs was to implement technology there. As you can imagine, and it's one of the biggest questions is, how is my field going to get trained? What if they don't use technology? We have different generations in the field. I hear it all and I understand it. I lived it. Our mobile app is so easy that, and I promise you, this is a direct quote from a customer, that they compare us to Apple products. You get a brand new iPhone, you don't sit in training to use your iPhone, you just open it up and it's just one of those naturally easy, things to use. With that being said, we do handle all of your training. I do train the field, but mobile app, I promise you, is super simple, super easy to use. Your field downloads the app, they can select the project that they're working on, and it's just going to guide them through the steps of what they need to add. They can capture 50 photos. Our photos are date and time stamped. They'll get a nice drop down when they need to add labor, material, and equipment. So now they're just adding the information that applies to them. And then they're collecting signatures from there, and they can get them right in the field, or they can request those signatures via email. So that's always a great option. Maybe overnight work, somebody's not there. You can kind of see on the right there the PDF version of how that displays. I'm not going to walk through the mobile app today, but we do have a previous webinar that was recorded. So if you guys are ever interested in seeing how that actually works and how quick and easy it is, I think we are going to drop that in the chat or Q&A here, so you guys can follow that link. But once they're creating those T&M tags in the field, that whether they save them as a draft or they're actually signed, they are then available instantly for your office. So PMs or anybody, coordinator, admin, whoever's managing those T&M tags, they'll be able to see them right away. It's immediate for them. So even as a draft, if they're not finished filling out the tag, it'll automatically be there. So they know that something's coming either way. And then pricing that out. Again, in that webinar, we had a little competition whether we could create a T&M tag and price it out within 5 minutes. And I believe I did hit that time. And that was even with a little bit of explaining, but we're accelerating cash flow there. Again, we're not driving around with these T&M tags. Everything is coming in right away. Increased transparency. So now my PMs can see what is going on in the field. And even on the GC side, the GC can see, when those T&M tags, when they're signing off on those, faster decision making. So we've got those pictures on there. It's being signed. Everyone is aware of what's happening. So we're not, hopefully, going back and forth of, what actually happened on that tag. Faster review cycles, same thing. Everything is there live for you immediately, the documentation. And then, of course, we have a lot more reporting and insights when it is within Clearstory. We're eliminating those paper tags and all of that guessing and manually enter things, scanning, etc.
And I think just to add to this too, like from the GC perspective is we're allowing the trades to get that fast documentation to you as the GC, right? And it's coming in clean, it's coming in quickly. We all have to remember at the end of the day, the GC is taking all the costs from the trade partners and they have to communicate that up and negotiate on behalf of the trades to the owner, right? So the fact that it's coming in very quickly with good documentation just makes it easier for the GC to package everything up quickly, get it in front of the owner to reduce that lag time, that review time, and get those decisions made faster. Because when that can happen, it's better for everybody, right? So the fact that we're creating that ability across industry just benefits everybody. And then I think like just to share another story too, I was working with a project team a couple months ago and with a new PM. So it was a new PM on the project and, her and I were talking about Clearstory and it was her first time using Clearstory. And she told me the story of when she was talking to one of her trades, the trade was doing some T&M work. And she said, "Hey, can you send me, I need the price for that week's worth of T&M that you did." They hung up the phone, and then 3 minutes later, she had the price in through Clearstory from the trade, and she was like, "Holy crap! I've never had T&M priced that fast before." And it was just like such an eye-opening moment for her because then immediately she could turn around and take that to the owner. Where without Clearstory, who knows how long that would have taken, right? Just because of the old-fashioned way we did it. So super cool how quickly we can get that and why it can help you. And then, one of the things here this is kind of one of the first things that you as a GC will do in Clearstory is send out a pricing request. So, we all know as GCs, you're getting design changes, you're getting requests from the owner to change, certain things within the project. The schedule is changing. You as a GC, you always need to facilitate pricing from your subs. So, whether that's a bulletin or something like that, that can be a very hard thing to do, prior to using Clearstory, right? Because like we mentioned before, it was all coming in email. How are you tracking who has responded? All those things, right? Now, our change notification tool allows you to easily distribute pricing requests out to your trades, track all of the ones that you've asked the pricing for, and show you who has responded either with a no cost or with a price, or who you're still waiting the response on. So it consolidates everything right in there for you. To allow you to understand what that is. And this is, talking about getting started fast, getting ROI fast. Oftentimes, this is the first activity we see GC teams do because we all know before we even mobilize, the design's changing, right? So you get your subs under contract. You haven't even put a shovel in the ground yet, but you already get a bulletin. You need to distribute that out to your subs to find out what that price change is. Now, as you initiate it, you can send it to the subs. Subs can review, respond directly, gives you all the collaboration that we see. And then again, gives you what that risk is so you can turn around and send it up to the owner. So just gives you a lot more clarity and speed in understanding what that risk is as you're sending out design changes. All right. And then, this might not be an immediate ROI that you see. I know a lot of the stuff we've been talking about here is like how quickly this can happen right away as soon as you start. But a big thing that happens in the industry is people change, right? People leave the company, people get reassigned to a new project. You get hit by a bus, right? Like we always like to say that in the industry too, right? Um, if you're using Clearstory, as soon as you have some staff changing, whether it's with your customer, whether it's with your subs, whether it's on your own internal team, as soon as that staff member change and steps in to start using Clearstory, you're going to immediately see what that ROI is because that new person is going to be able to start up with their change orders right away. And there's not going to be a big time of losing files. Where was it? Did they save it? I wasn't a part of that, right? You're going to have everything all captured here in one spot. So Clearstory keeps things going. It keeps your project teams moving in that tough time of staff change. And again, right? All the documentation's in one spot. Your reference, your PCO, PCI numbers are there. It's all in one cloud-based log. So the new person can just work with the other stakeholder on the other side of the table and be aligned on what's out there.
Yeah, and this happens, same thing on the specialty side. Even with management and leadership, they can log in and they can see all of the project teams, everything that's happening. And if they need to make changes there at that point, it's just simply changing that PM for that project. And then they have access to everything related to that.
Awesome. So it kind of covers everything we wanted to run through with you. I believe we had the Q&A open. So if you guys have questions that should be available to you to be able to enter some of them in. We do have a couple questions that have already come in here. So we got the first question here, and maybe Alexis is a good one for you here. How fast do most teams get up and running on the mobile app for T&M tags? I think you touched on that, but maybe, if you want to expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, that is, I always joke, it's kind of the easiest part of our platform where most people would think is the hardest. But it takes me about 10 minutes to train the field on T&M tags. Most of the time I'll have them download the app, walk through things as I'm talking. We can create test projects. And I usually get some grumbles in the beginning, which I'm usually prepared for. But as I start clicking through, it's usually almost like, an aha moment. So, it's super easy to use. They usually like it. So I'll say, we'll put it on the long end and I'll say 30 minutes. And that's going to include any questions that people have.
Um, all right, next question. And again, please, if you have questions, go ahead and hit the Q&A and throw them in there. So next question we got here is, when I'm doing change notifications, do I have to track each individual email to every sub? Or how do I otherwise know who responded? So that's a great question. So when you send out a change notification, you'll be able to, let's say it's a bulletin. You'll be able to, as you're sending it out, you'll be able to click select all. That's going to go to all of your trades. You're going to have a live screen that's going to list out every single trade that you've sent it to, which will automatically capture for you. Did they open the notice? Did they download the files you sent them? Have they responded? So you don't need to track individually. You can go to one screen and see everybody how they've responded for that specific instance. And then even further, we have a lot of cool reporting and stuff that will give you big picture. So for every change notification or every pricing request that you've distributed, you can see big picture how your trades are responding to them. So appreciate it. That is a good question. All right, here we have another question. Do you have integrations for Sage Intacct or Acumatica? So off the top of my head, I don't believe we have out-of-the-box integrations for both of those today. I do encourage you, if you go to clearstory.build, we have an integrations page at the top, so you can go ahead and check that out. If this is something you are interested in learning more about, maybe for some other tools, reach out to us. We are working on some other features where we have what's called a developer API, which allows for integrations to be built to tools that we don't directly integrate to. So we've had some customers start to build towards this as it's something new for us. So if you don't see your internal financial tool listed as an out-of-the-box integration on our website, don't be shy. Just go ahead and reach out to us to get a conversation set up and we can kind of work with you and see what that might look like.
Yeah, and I'll add to that, Taylor. I have a customer where we're starting to use that developer API, and we work closely with everyone. We have an awesome team, so if that is something you guys are interested in, it's not something that we're just like, here you go, bye. So
Yeah.
we all stick together with that.
Yeah, I had that I had a similar conversation today too. So so good question there. We have another one here in that came through chat. Did you did you guys use Clearstory as a user in your previous jobs before joining the Clearstory team? I'll take that one and say yes, I did. So I used Clearstory for about 2 years maybe before I joined Clearstory, as a full-time member of the team. So I used it on, so I was a project manager in what we called our special projects group. So the first project I used it on two concurrent $2.5 million like mechanical fit out projects, and where we swapped out some large HVAC equipment in an active office building. So that was very helpful as being a project manager, like of a small team, small budget. It was allowed me to give the opportunity to focus on the things you need to on a small, quick hitting project, but captured everything for me. And then the other project that I used it on was for a luxury club lounge in an airport, and that was just under 40 million. So that was a much larger team. I'll say it was a $40 million project in scope, but in feel, it felt like it was more of $100 million job just because of the ask and the schedule and all those things. But point is, I uh, I wouldn't have used I wouldn't have done a project without Clearstory having used it, right? I used it on multiple jobs, and then I think to the topic of this discussion, I left that project in the middle of the project, and the PM that took over for me stepped right into Clearstory and was able to pick it up right away. And I had heard from that project afterwards that them being able to close out the financials on that job went way smoother because the Clearstory was there. So, good question. I appreciate that one. That's just good little personal stories there.
Yeah, and we actually have a handful of people, I believe, on our team now that have used Clearstory.
We do. Hmm.
Personally did not, but I know there are a few.
Um, yeah, I bet you wish you did back in the day, right?
I did, yeah.
Um, Okay. Alexis, here's a good question for you. So Clearstory has been great so far. Awesome. Thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying it so far. Do you suggest best practice to be the field creating a sign tag themselves or creating a tag draft? So,
Ooh.
Alexis, that's probably one for you.
Yeah, I get that question a lot. So I get some people who, or some companies that want their PMs to approve that T&M tag first before it gets signed. I try to, I don't want to tell you how to do things, but I try to push people out of that. You want to gain trust in your field. I would recommend, best practice is having the field get it signed themselves. When you go to price it out, and you guys would see that if you guys do happen to look at that previous webinar, the PMs of the office, they can change anything that they need to. So if that T&M tag was signed, and it's only quantities, they're not giving any pricing, but if there's something that needs to be changed on that T&M tag, you guys still can change that before you submit that as a COR. And typically, I recommend whether you want to put a note on what's changed or simple phone call there. But best practice is going to be have the field get that signed for you, so office isn't worrying about it, and they can just go ahead and approve and submit that COR.
Awesome. Any other questions anybody wants to throw in there? I think that kind of covers through. Maybe we'll wait another minute or so if we want another question to come in. Oh, here's another good one. Do you need a Clearstory account to sign tags, i.e., do I need to get my superintendents an account? Alexis, maybe you and I can kind of both do this one. I'll answer from the GC perspective. Um, the if you're a GC and you're bringing Clearstory onto your project, yes, you would want to have your superintendents have an account. So when your trade partners are sending you when your trade partners are sending you T&M tags, your superintendents can log in and see, the tickets in their court to sign. They can do it via email, but with an account, it allows them to see everything that's available for them to sign. And then I think we could probably swing this question from the sub point of view too, Alexis.
Yeah, so as the specialty contractor, no, you don't need the superintendent to have an account to sign the T&M tags. I guess I'm speaking GC side that the super doesn't need to have an account. You can request those signatures via email. So they'll receive that email that Taylor mentioned, and it will take them into Clearstory, but they don't need to have an actual Clearstory account. They just review it, download it if they want to, and then they sign that way.
Yeah, so I think with your question, it kind of depends on what lens you're coming into Clearstory from, right? So if you're a GC user, there's kind of a best practice, and then if you're a sub sending to a GC without, your GC requiring Clearstory, it kind of changes things too. So just let us know at your situation. I mean, we'll figure it out pretty quick as soon as we talk with you and tell you what the best practice is.
Absolutely.
Um, All right, we can keep taking questions. I'm just gonna swap the screen here so you guys have our contact information as well. So we have both Alexis and our emails on screen here. So you guys are welcome to email us if you have any, further questions you want to have addressed or anything you want to chat about. Um, but then maybe we'll wait here another question or two. Um, if not, that kind of covers everything we wanted to go through today.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
All right. All right. I guess why don't we just call it there then? Yep. Nope. Not seeing any more questions come in. So we appreciate everybody joining here today. Again, this recording will be available for this webinar, so feel free to check it out and share it with your colleagues and friends. And appreciate you all joining today.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great week.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.